Hey, welcome to this video. So today we're going to talk about Markdown. We're going to see what Markdown is. We're going to do some exercises in Markdown and we're going to push that to GitHub. We're going to create a repository on GitHub. We're going to create a commit. We're going to create a branch. We're going to do all that stuff and see how Markdown makes sense, why it's used so much in GitHub and all these version control tools. And by the end of this video, you should be able to write some Markdown files on your own, and you should also be able to do some Markdown version control in GitHub. So let's go. All right, so let's talk some Markdown. First thing is, what is Markdown? Well, Markdown is a lightweight way to write documents so that they can be later converted to formatted documents. So you don't need any special tools, just like you would need Office, Microsoft Word to edit Word documents and all that stuff. You can just use any text editor on any system and it will work for everyone. Another thing about Markdown is that it's made to be human readable in its raw format. So what that means is that when you open a Markdown file, you can easily read the content with any editor. But when you look at a Word document, for example, we've all experienced that, where you open a Word document in a tool that is not Word. So for example, on your phone, it looks completely different. A lot of data gets lost, a lot of formatting gets lost, whereas a Markdown, if you don't have anything to read it or convert it to a formatted document, you can easily read the document without losing any of the style. So Markdown is used in a lot of applications such as blogs, documentation, online chats, README files, and many other things. You can make full websites that use Markdown as their backbone. We're going to see an example of one in a minute. There are a lot of tools that can be used to render Markdown. Some of them allow you to specify certain styles like fonts and what your header size is, what your font size is, what the color is, all that stuff. It makes it easy to apply a certain style guide to your Markdown files, unlike Word, for example. If somebody decides that their header is going to be blue and the company wants it to be red, well, the header is going to be blue, and you have to go in physically to the document and change that header to red. Whereas Markdown, there's no format in terms of color that a user can define. It will get defined by your tool. Now, some of the famous examples for Markdown is GitHub documentation, mainly README files. So when you go into a repository, you will see that README file, and that is written in Markdown. You won't see the Markdown. GitHub is smart enough to actually render those files for you so they look nice and very presentable. And another one is the Microsoft documentation. So let's go to the Microsoft documentation. All right, Docs, Microsoft Azure documentation. Let's choose Cosmos DB, right? And let's do create a Cosmos DB Azure portal. Okay, now if we look at this one more specifically, we'll see here. Now this is the Markdown. Microsoft just uses that. If you want to make an edit, you make an edit, and then it just updates the website. And so that's one of those tools. I'm assuming that Microsoft may have their own tool for the documentation to render it the way they want it to. So everything in the documentation looks uniform. All right, so here's some tools we're going to be using today. We're going to use GitHub. If you don't have an account, you can make your own account. It's free. If you have one provided by your company, use that one. The second thing we're going to be using is GitHub Desktop. So I'm personally not a big fan of using command lines to do commits and all that stuff. So we're going to use GitHub Desktop, which makes it a lot easier to interact between your local files and GitHub without having to do a command and all that stuff. It makes it very easy. The second thing we're going to use, the second group of things we're going to use is Visual Studio Code to edit our files. And we're going to use the Markdown all-in-one extension for Visual Studio Code because it will allow us to write Markdown and see it rendered as we write it down. It's much easier to write Markdown when you can actually see what's happening as you write it. So I'm going to put the links in the description below for all the tools we're going to be using so you can download and install them. but here's the link for GitHub Desktop right here. And here's the link for Visual Studio Code right here. Now I have those installed already on my system, so I'm not going to download and go through the installation process. Basically, you download, click next, 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 install, and you're good. And those tools work on Mac as well, so it's not just a Windows thing. So if you have a Mac, you can do that on a Mac too. So here, let's open GitHub Desktop. So when you open it, I logged out to show you, but you may be presented with a page to log in, or if you don't, then you can have, you can go to File Options, and then you can sign in to your GitHub account. And we'll go to the browser, open. It will ask you to log in. Because I'm already logged into this browser, it didn't ask me to, but you enter your credentials, and then you're good to go. So here we're going to create a new repository on GitHub. So we go to github.com. All right, this is my GitHub. We're gonna do a new repository right here, and we're gonna say Markdown training. Right, we're gonna make it private for ourselves. We're going to add a README file, and we're gonna create it. That simple. To create a repository, it's that simple. See, now it's created the repository. If I go here on GitHub Desktop and I refresh, and I should have my Markdown training repository. So I can choose this one, clone it. So when you click clone, it's gonna make a copy locally. Here it's gonna say C users Caroline documents GitHub. I'm fine with that path. We're going to clone that, and it's gonna make a copy locally. So now it's there locally. So one good thing I love about GitHub, because it's all Microsoft, is you can click repository, open with Visual Studio Code, and boom, just like that. You don't have to figure out how to do it. And yes, I trust the authors because this is me. So here we have our repository, and we can see we have our files that has been created for us. Because we just opened Visual Studio Code, now I have a few installed extensions here for myself, but if you don't, you can go here and we're going to install the Markdown extension, which is Markdown all-in-one. Now I have it installed and it's enabled, but if you don't have it, just like this one, you just click install and you are good. There's other Markdown extensions. Look at the one that works best for you. We're going to use the all-in-one here. And let's go back to our file. And now we can right click here and you can see Markdown Preview Enhanced and Preview to the side. And that is our preview for the Markdown file, which is very useful because now we have the format. So here I can do, this is a test, and you have it rendered properly. And I can do a second header and do test 1. All right, and that gives me a header 2. And see, I don't have to specify how this looks. I don't even know if I can. Actually, honestly, it doesn't matter because locally it doesn't matter. So now we have our file, we have our README. Let's delete our README. Let's delete the content and start fresh. So here what I want to do is go over some basics of Markdown. So now the first thing we're going to start with is headers. That's the most basic things you can do. And that's just to differentiate different sections of your file. So a header is basically a hashtag, pound, number sign, whatever you want to call it, followed by text. We're going to write something about ourselves. All right, so this is header 1. Now, if you want to do header 2, you do 2 hashtags, and then you say my life. And then if you want to do header 3, you got it, you do 3, and then childhood, right? And then if you want to do header 4, you get the idea, you do birth. And you have those different headers already formatted for you. And yeah, now here it will, yeah. So in theory, there's some style That's the good thing about Visual Studio Code. It will give you some style information and recommendation. Here it doesn't like that it's the last line, but this is great, right? Now let's save this and let's go back to our GitHub for desktop. See, now it noticed that the file changed. And the good thing with Markdown is here it shows you, especially in GitHub for desktop, it shows you here this file changed. This line was removed and all these lines were added. Now we're going to commit that to our main, right? So updated readme. The title that was there, you can leave it there. Here we're going to put a description. It's always nice to have some description about what you did and why you did it. So let's put a description. Let's say I changed the basic readme file. All right, now we're going to commit that to main. If we go to GitHub, now you can see nothing has changed. And that's because even though we committed it to the local branch. We committed it to the main branch that is local. So we're gonna have to push it to the origin being GitHub. And when you do that, here, you refresh and you can see this is here. It's been updated and you can see this is the last change that has been made to my branch, my main branch, and says updated readme, and this is the description of the change that happened. All right, but now I like this way, and I'm gonna add more stuff to this. Let's go back here, let's go back to GitHub. All right, now we're back here, and I wanna add more text. I did some outline, and now I wanna add more text about myself. So I like this outline, and I don't wanna mess it up. I want to be able to edit it, make changes, save the changes, commit the changes, and not update anything until I'm ready to update it. So that's where branches come in. So here we're going to create a branch and we're going to call it adding text. We're going to say this is a new branch, calling adding text. Now it made a branch from this main branch, right? It's based on the main branch because there's only one branch, but it brought all the data from the main branch into this branch. We're going to publish that to GitHub. This is not going to do anything. If we go here and we refresh here, you can see there's now two branches, right? The adding text branch and the main branch. And if we go back, you can see that we are on the main branch, right? We can go on the adding text, but there's nothing that changed. So let's go back here and now we'll say, let's say I'm going to say I was born in the south of France in XXXX. Yeah, I'm not going to give you my age. This is cool, right? I did this. But now, as I say, I'm very proud that I was born in the south of France, right? And I really want to make this a big deal. So I want to make it bold. And so the way you make it bold is you put two asterisks. Now, if you're in Visual Studio Code, the good thing is if you select text and you type certain text over it, it's now going to put it on each side. So if I do star star, now there you go. Now it's bold. The good thing is this README and Visual Studio Code also does some formatting for you, so it's easy to see. But now, boom, it's formatted. I have my south of France bolded. Like everybody will know I was born in the south of France. Now, if I wanted just one, if I wanted to make it italic, I would do one bold, but I want to make it bold. And my year of the year I was born, I don't want anybody to see that. Now I'll use style D, however you say that, and boom, now it's redacted. Nobody will know I was born in year XXXXX. So it's great. I have this text and I formatted it. It's not that invasive to format this text. Just a few characters here and there and you have your formatted text. Now let's save this and let's commit that to our branch. See, now you can see, here's the change. Okay, I upgraded the B to an uppercase B. I added a space here, and I added my text. So here we're going to put added where I was born. And description is going to be the same thing, right? Because that's what I did. And I will commit that to my branch. Okay, now it's still not online, right? If I refresh this, again, still not online. So it allows you, yeah, see, nothing has been changed here. So when you work like this, it allows you to keep all your changes locally, make commits locally, count it as a save for your data for a state of your whole repository. And now you can push it to the origin. And once it's done, there you go. It tells you it was updated. We're going to refresh that page and see now that we're on this branch and we have added the text. Now, the main branch, if you look here, still doesn't have this text. Now we can merge branches remotely here, or we can do it in here, and we're going to do it here for this one. And so now I want to go to main, right? I want to go to the main branch, and if we go back here, see, it's back to the way it was on the main branch. But I want to bring those changes in because I'm okay with what I did. So now what we're going to do is we're going to choose a branch to merge into main, and we're going to choose the adding text branch. So we're going to create a merge, and now you can see it was brought in. And now we're going to push this to the origin. Let's refresh our main branch, and now you can see our main branch has been updated with the text. Now, see, this is all rendered. There's no hashtag. You can just do edit, and you will see the raw file. But we're not going to edit it. See, added where I was born, and it brings the commit, the last commit change in there. All right, let's get back here. Now, here I have my childhood and all that stuff. And let's say I want to add a list of the top few things I like to do. Let's do a little header 2, things I enjoy. Right. And let's do a list. And making a list is as simple as making one dot or like number dot, right? Or you can do also dash, and it will create a bulleted list for you. Very simple to create a list. There's not much you need to do. Let's say I want to make it ordered. So 1, and let's say I love playing with my dogs. Okay, now see, I press enter. I mean, in this one, it will do 2, but in other editors, you may not. You may have to just do the 2 yourself. But let's say I love playing with my dogs. Alright, so I wrote this. Now I save this, and I realize, oh no, I don't want this in my main branch. I want this in a new branch. I want a branch that just lists things I love. So now what we can do is do things I love, right? We're going to create a new branch, things I love. And now it's like, well, we have changes. You didn't commit those changes to your main branch. What do you want to do? And you can say, bring those changes to things I love. Let's commit the change. All right, now let's go back to our main branch, and you can see this is gone. We didn't add anything we love in this main branch. So technically, this is how you should be working. You don't put anything in your main branch. You change things in different branches based on theme or whatever, however you want to do it. So now let's go to things I love, right? It's here, and I want to publish this branch to GitHub, and it's done. And now we can see things I love recently pushed. If we refresh, we'll have 3 branches, right? And if I go to the things I love, now I see this here. Okay, now let's come here, and I'm fairly confident I want to add this things I love to my main branch. So let's go to create a pull. Now we're going to do a pull request. All right, cool. So here I want to bring things I love into main. So I'm going to create a pull request, and I'm gonna say I added things I loved. Okay, fairly fine. We're gonna create a pull request, and it's gonna check if it can be merged, and we're gonna merge the pull request automatically, and we're gonna confirm the merge. And you can delete the branch. I want to keep it posted. I want to keep it here because, well, you know, if I want to add more things I love, I can do that and then merge it back in there. And we're actually going to do something like that. Let's go to our code, and our main branch has this. Wonderful. This is exactly what we wanted. Now, if we go back here and we go to our main branch, it's not there. What happened? Well, here you see fetched origin. Now what this is going to do is going to say, hey GitHub, do you have anything newer for me to look at? And the answer will be yes. We're going to fetch it, and then we're going to pull it because it tells you have different things. And now our main branch has been updated with the changes we pushed online. So let's say I want to make a list of useful resources in this file about me, like things I, Caroline, find useful. So let's create a new branch, right? Let's do it properly. Useful resources. Let's create a new branch. We call it useful resources, and there we go. Now we're in useful resources, and I want to make a section where it says things I find useful, right? And I want to put links to websites that I find useful. So let's say I want Google. Google is a useful thing. Something I find useful, and I want to type. Now that's a link, and it's like, yeah. See, okay, that's a link. Cool, but I don't want to show it as Google.com, right? It's just a website for Google. So the way I would do it, I would do a link is I would put something useful, right? So Google here, and then I put a parentheses like that. And now this is a much better way of doing this. And I say the best search engine is Google, right? Now I have a link. And let's say I also find the section about my birth useful. For some reason, I think the section about my birth is like the most useful thing anybody can have. And I say the section about my birth is useful. Okay, and now how do I link that? Well, we can do this text, the section about my birth. We're going to put this in brackets, and we're going to open. And now what I want to say is this section right here, hashtag birth, is super useful. Now if I click here, now it's doing it, but there's not much to go. Hashtag my life. We'll do another commit. We'll refresh this. All right, now if I click my life, see, now it goes back up. It goes back to the anchor, my life. Now it's not my birth, but you get the idea. So let's fix that. That is just not supposed. I would just wanted to show you. And see, we're good, right? Section, everything looks good. So this is done. We've made our links. We're good. Now, I want to make a table. And you know what? I want to make a table of things I love in things I love. So we're going to go back to things I love. And you can see now it disappeared because it's not part of this branch. Does it matter? Not really. Let's do a table. The way you do a table is you basically draw a table. Let's say, then we're going to say we want to do, and then we're going to do, all right. And now we're going to draw the table. This is our header. We're going to draw, and you can see now we have a table. And all we have to do is update. So favorite food, pizza. You don't actually have to match column. So if it sees the vertical bar, it's going to be like, this is a new column. And let's say Bridge Pizza, and it's $9. Cool. Now I've made a table, and this is my favorite place. And let's say it's $10 because I get a lot. Every time I go, I get a lot. So see, I have a nice little table drawn for me. Let's save this. And okay, commit the change. Now we're going to push it to origin. We can always push it. And now let's go look in here. Let's go to things I love. And you can see now we have our nice little rendered table. Wonderful. And now I want to bring this. So let's do the things I find useful. We're going to make a pull request. We're going to create a new pull request. And we're going to say useful resources. So we're going to merge useful resources into main. So we're going to create a pull request. So this is the change we're bringing in. This is the commit we're bringing in. We're going to create a pull request. Create pull request. Now there's no conflict because we're just adding at the end of the file. Merge pull request. Confirm merge. And we are good, right? We've made our pull request. And now if we go back to our main branch, we see the useful resources. Now, I want to create another pull request. I don't know why it's not updating, but we're going to create another one. And we're going to now do things I love. We're going to merge it back. See, we added this. And see now it says you can't automatically merge because we edited the end of the file, but we didn't do that here. This is a different end of file. So let's create a pull request. Let's see how that works. All right, and it's going to be like, whoa, there's conflict. So now you have to resolve the conflicts. And you say, okay, here's the two things. So this is the problem area. So how are we going to resolve this? Well, the way you do it is you just you keep whatever you want or remove whatever you don't want, and so on and so forth. So here we're just gonna, so this is like the part from things I love, and this is the part from main, right? So main has this, the things I love has this at the end. So what I want to do is just remove this. And now we are good. So now this is going to be how my file looks at the end. And I'll mark this as resolved because I'm good with this. Let's mark it as resolved, and we're going to commit the merge. And let's see. We'll merge, confirm the merge. And now it's successful. Let's look at our file and see now we have our pizza, favorite food, and we have things we find useful. And this looks nice. Let's fetch the origin let's pull it down. So this is all the changes, all the branches, everything that are on the origin. And if we look now back here, this is our main branch, and you can see all the changes have been merged. Now I have more ideas for things I find useful. So I love you. I'm going to put another link to YouTube. Thanks. All right, I added YouTube. Save this. We're going to edit YouTube. Go to useful resources. Push to origin. Now if we go here, we can do refresh. Go to useful resources. See, now everything is here. We're going to do a pull request between useful resources. We're going to create a pull request. Create pull request. Merge pull request. Confirm merge. Oh, no, it wasn't faster. I just messed up. Merge. We go to our code. And now we see YouTube. Let's look at what it looks like. Now let's add more files, right? This file is getting big. Now let's say I want to create like code samples. We're going to go to main. We're going to create a new branch. Code samples. All right. So now we're going to create a folder called code. I'm going to create a file. Let's say test.ps1. We're going to create a small PowerShell file. I'm going to quickly write a PowerShell file right now. All right, simple, right? We did this, pretty cool. Now we're gonna create a new file. We're gonna say, right, we're gonna call it test.md, and here we're gonna document that code, right? So let's say test.ps1 documentation, right? And here we're gonna say the code. Now you probably wouldn't want to do that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And here we're gonna write some code. We're gonna put the code, and we're gonna say this is PowerShell code. So we'll format it properly as a PowerShell code, and we're gonna take this and we're gonna put it here. And now you can see we have a piece of code that's right here, documented, formatted properly as PowerShell. I don't have to do anything else. I mean, here it's wonderful that it's formatting it, but when it goes up in GitHub, it will be formatted. And here I can say how to run, saying just run. And now we can do inline code. So it's, instead of being a big block, we can just do a small line inline. You'll see we do ampersand test.ps1 dash computer and computer name here. Right. So now we have inline code. We have something written in here, inline, and it's formatted as code. You can't specify what code it is because inline code doesn't get formatted. I mean, besides the basic format, but there you go. Inline code. This is my documentation. Let's save this. Let's go here. Let's commit that. Created a code sample and docs. All right, code samples. Cool. Now I'm gonna come back here. You don't have to come back to GitHub all the time, but this way you can do a nice pull request and all that stuff. So let's do a pull request. We're going to go to a new pull request. Oops, did I push this? Publish branch. Sorry, I forgot to publish the branch. Take a minute. All right, cool. All right, now it's here. Code samples. I want to create a pull request. Doesn't see any conflicts. Will be good. Merge, confirm merge. And it's merged and we're good. So now how do I share this from here? Like I want to share this. You can go here to code. You can view the code file that I wrote. You can see the documentation. Yeah, okay, fine. But I don't want to have to navigate through my code. What if this was hidden somewhere, right? Now let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. And now let's go to README. And I want a section, I'm gonna put it here. My code samples. And as I can say, you can see test.ps1 here. And now I can put a link relative to the where I am. And here we're gonna say test.md. It's wonderful if you do Visual Studio Code, it will actually help you write all this yourself. So let's save this. And here, if I click here, boom, it's gonna show it. Now, Visual Studio Code isn't the greatest at this, but we're gonna see it in action in GitHub. So let's close this. We have here, we'd say added link in readme.md. We don't need the .md. We come into code samples. We come back here. Whoops, sorry, we gotta push it. We come back here. We take we do a pull request quickly. New pull request. We're gonna do code samples. Create pull request. Create pull request. No conflicts. And here, boom. All right, you can see test PS1 here, and now if we click here, it's gonna bring you to this Markdown, right? Directly to a Markdown file, from Markdown to Markdown. No need, no raw file, whatever. Isn't that wonderful? And now let's say I want to go back here and say I want to add go back to readme. And now we put a link up. Let's do enter and enter. We'll do the same thing. We'll commit this, push it. We're gonna do a pull request. We're gonna do code samples, good, compare pull, create new pull, merge, confirm. And now let's go back here. I want to see it here. And now I can go back to readme, right? With a simple Markdown file, I have navigation and I can relate from one page to the other. So for example, here my code samples, I can make a special section, say code samples, go see this page, and then I will have all of my code samples in this page. And so that allows you to do some sort of a mock website type of thing and navigation between files easier. So you can do structured documentation as opposed to if you do a Word document where you can't really point to outside. Like if you point to an outside document, it's going to open a new window. And then you click back and it's going to open another new window. And it's going to make it very complicated. Here, you can just do it directly and it's going to navigate on GitHub. Okay, so now let's say I want to add a picture to my README file, right? I want to say something about me and I want to put a picture. So here I want to put a picture of my favorite Copilot as the beginning of my file. So I'm just going to create a new branch here. Let's go to main. We're going to create a new branch from main and say pictures. All right, so here I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it pictures, or let's rename it more accurately to images. And I want to put my favorite Copilot in there. So here I'm just going to copy this here, and here you can see this is my favorite Copilot. She's always there when I drive. She loves being there when I drive. So I'm gonna put a picture of her in here. Okay, come on, refresh. All right, it's having issues. All right, so how do I do a picture in Markdown? Well, it's very simple. You do exclamation mark, then you put a little text, my favorite Copilot, right? And now we put a link, just like a link, and we put it here. And boom, about me. And this is my life. So why this alternative text? For many reasons. One, if it doesn't render. Number two, if somebody is visually impaired, the text-to-speech or screen reader can read the picture as this is what this is, right? So I can also say a picture of my dog sitting next to me in the car, right? And this is descriptive of the picture. And if somebody has a screen reader, they're going to be able to see this. If the picture is gone, they're going to be able to see this as an alternative text. This is what's the picture that's supposed to be there. So it's an accessibility thing and it's a decent human being thing. So let's save this. Let's put it here. We'll go back. Save. We're going to take our picture. We're going to publish added picture. Commit to picture. We're going to publish the branch. So it's taking a little bit because the picture is big, but that's fine. All right, now it's there. If we go obviously to our main branch, it's not there anymore. See, it's gone. It's having issues with the rendering. Again, all right, cool. Now let's go here. Let's go back here. We'll refresh this. We'll do a pull request. Again, as always, we're gonna do picture. We're gonna move picture to main, create pull request. Oops, I did a typo. Create pull request. No problems, we're gonna merge. And now if we go to our main thing, we can see our beautiful picture of me and my puppy. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope this was useful to you. I hope this taught you how to write in Markdown and use some GitHub or Git in general, because GitHub is just like the tool that uses Git. Some GitHub and Git, and how to use branches, how to commit, how to create branches and all that stuff, create pull requests. Now you go and create your own repository, you create your own profile, you create your own wiki, you create whatever you want with this new skill that you now have.